This is a 1983 Chevy G20. A subscriber generously gave it to me to see what I could do with it, so I ripped everything out of it and rebuilt it from the ground up. Up on the roof, I installed 3 solar panels on a custom aluminum roof rack and added a 2-way roof vent for optimal airflow. I also replaced the 2 cracked rooftop windows with some fresh glass, and the paint was looking real rough, so I went ahead and redid it with a new color to match the interior design. Now let's check out the inside. The original seats were old and embedded with mold, so I replaced them with new leather seats and modified them to fit the existing swivel bases. Both the driver and passenger seat can swivel to face the living space. That gives you an extra seat right here once it's spun around. It's a little bit low, but it's actually pretty comfortable. One of the biggest things that I did was I put in this new modern radio. The new radio is a touchscreen that supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with an integrated backup camera. My favorite feature up here is this switch that I put in that anytime you hit it, you can see directly behind the van. So it's not just for backing up when you put it in reverse, but while you're driving down the road, you can take a quick look over there and actually see behind you. And I put in this old school toggle switch just to kind of fit in with all of the old stuff up here, and I think it kind of blends in pretty well. I also added a new 12-volt outlet to the dash and built some puck lights into the overhead storage above the driver's seat. This van is small, so I didn't put a wall behind the seats, so you can enter the living space straight from the driving position. Just a really tight step. But the easier way to get in is through this nice sliding side door that covers the entire side of the van. So you notice the dog. Here's his 10-second backstory. His name is Tyson. He's a Belgian Malinois, and my father adopted him as a puppy while he was living in Colombia. When he passed away, the dog was only 6 months old, and I didn't want anything bad to happen to him, so I traveled to Colombia to rescue him, and he flew back with me on the plane to America. He's now 1 year old, so you should expect to see him in the background of these videos for a very long time. He's a great dude. I'm just going to be probably throwing frisbees all day while I'm doing this tour though. There is a control panel above the door that manages the main lights, secondary lights, and water pump. At the entryway, I installed a 12-volt portable fridge. This one's a little bit different though because it has its own batteries which allow it to run independently of the van's electrical system. If the rest of my power goes out, I've still got this, and it also is not sapping off of my main power source, so I can have smaller amount of batteries and still run a fridge all day, all night, and not have to worry about anything. There's these 2 locking latches on the bottom. Once you hit those, then you can slide this out. I like having this here because you can access it from inside or outside of the van. The drawer face matches the ceiling of the van, and the controls are accessible through the hole on the front. Above the fridge is a slide-out camp stove. I put the stove in this position so that it can be used from both inside and outside of the van due to the low ceiling height. They put on this fiberglass roof to make the van taller, but it still wasn't 6 feet tall. It's like 5'7" or something. So after building everything up in here, you can't actually stand up straight inside the van unless like you put your foot down inside of this hole or something like that. So not sure why they put that top on there, but they did, and you still can't stand up, so I don't really know what the point was. I decided to utilize an existing sleeper sofa as a base for the converting bed in this build. I've built couches from scratch many times, but it never quite feels right, and in this van in particular, there's going to be a lot of time spent sitting down, and I designed everything to be reached from a sitting position, so I wanted to make sure it was extremely comfortable. I wouldn't do this every single time because it's very situational, but for this van and this layout, I designed it so that it would work out. The sides of this couch come up so that you can use them as armrests or a pillow, so you can lay on the couch this way. The back also folds down. I had to modify the couch to make it work for my design. It converts into a bed using heavy-duty drawer slides to make room for the back cushions to fall down over the aisle. The couch cushions and armrests all move independently for various seating arrangements, so this worked out perfectly. Obviously, because there's a wall in the way, if you clip these up out of the way, there are these same latches that are on the fridge over here that if you press those, it releases a drawer slide. So once it's released, you can slide this out, and then once it's out, you can put these down, and then the same thing happens with the back of this, and those go down, and then you have a bed that covers basically the entire area, including the usable floor and what the couch used to be. There are also 12-inch deep drawers underneath, and the entire couch lifts up to reveal extra storage behind the drawers. Above the main bed, there's a guest bed that extends over the top using a double locking drawer slide system. There's these two latches that releases these slides that come out here, and then there's a secondary level that comes out again. Now, I know this is not a ton of room in between here, but when I built this in the full build video, a lot of people thought, what's the point in this bed? You can't use it when someone's on the bottom. Well, you can. There's just not a lot of room down there. Believe it or not, this is a similar amount of space that I used to have in my rack back when I was in the military. And you don't always have guests over, so this works out well if you need to sleep 4 people in here. Everything closes up in reverse order and locks into place. And then boom, it's right back into couch mode, and you're done. The kitchen is right across from the couch. I put in a stone sink and a matching black extendable faucet with 2 spraying molds. There is a utility and storage area underneath the sink. The double doors are laminated with soft close hinges, and recessed finger pulls are cut directly into the wood. There are also cookware drawers and a pantry to the left of the sink cabinet. The countertop is a DIY butcher block made from reclaimed pallet hardwood. I was actually running out of materials while I was in the middle of making this van, so I just went and got a bunch of pallets because I didn't want to go over budget on this build. There are 3 laminated overhead cabinets with leather pull tab handles. I installed springs on the hinges so that the doors would lock in the open and the closed positions. The cabinet has continuous LED lighting integrated below the storage area. I put a media cabinet next to the kitchen to act as the back wall. I made a timbre door from leftover solid maple from the rest of the build. And then right behind that, there's actually a hidden cabinet. If you push on this, it pulls out this section that has a TV in there. I ran cables from the TV to the shelves and permanently mounted an HDMI port to the wall. The original ceiling from the van, before they put this fiberglass cap on there, for some reason they left the ceiling on in the back. I built around that original metal roof to make a deep storage cabinet above the bed and built a matching one over the cab. I built a chevron brick pattern into the ceiling with an MDF panel. It has 12-volt continuous LED lighting integrated into the maple trim from the front to the back of the van. The lights are dimmable, so you can adjust the brightness with the slider switch above the side door. The roof vent is also integrated into the trim and placed directly above the cooktop for optimal ventilation. It looks a lot more fancy than it actually is, but this ceiling probably cost me $25 to make. When I open up the back doors, this one actually swings all the way out. When you first get these old vans, there's a little hinge on here that prevents it from opening up all the way, but you just take the hinge off and then you'll be able to swing it open all the way. This one doesn't swing open all the way because of the spare tire.
The back door utility area houses the electrical and water systems and is accessible from the inside of the van through the sliding pass-through door near the couch. I installed a separate light back here for nighttime visibility, and I also covered the floor with rubber penny tile for durability. The electrical system for this van is charged with solar power and managed by a portable power station under the guest bed.
It has all of the components already inside of it, so that way I can kind of monitor everything. You can get an app on your phone where you can see exactly what's going on without actually coming back here and looking. And I also built this sliding door that I talked about earlier, that way while I'm up in the front I can open that door and access this stuff if I need to turn the battery on, change the settings, do anything else back here. I can reach right back there and I can see what's going on from the inside of the van.
The combination fuse panel and breaker box distribute power to all of the appliances and can easily be accessed from one location.
I can open this up, see what's going on with my fuses, change them if I need to, reset my breakers if I need to, and all of that stuff is right there. I usually like to separate the electric stuff from the water stuff because electric and water usually don't go together, and also to distribute the weight of the van evenly.
The water system has a 16-gallon tank that can be filled with a hose using a water inlet. The gray water for the sink is also accessible for dumping from the back doors, and a visual check for the water levels is easy to do from the inside using the sliding pass-through door.
This is the hose for the outdoor shower.
There's a quick connection point for the outdoor shower hose below the water inlet.
This is the most fun feature of the van, but I could have just built this separately without building an entire van for it, but here we are. And on all of the windows, besides the 4 windows on the side of the van here, they actually all pop out like this. So that's one thing that's pretty cool about these old vans, is that there's always spaces where you can open up the windows and get extra airflow.
So that's the whole tour. It was challenging to build this van because I usually don't build anything that's this old, and a lot of the walls are very curved and I'm used to stuff being a little bit more flat, but the result was a pretty functional and enjoyable living space. If you liked watching this video, then you'll probably enjoy seeing me build this entire van, and you can watch that video right here. I also have these sweatshirts that I put up on my website if you want to check that out. These are designs of this actual van, so it's a cool vintage style if you want to check that out. But that's all I got, so I'll see you next time. Later.